You are listening to W2WZ, the podcast where two poets come together to share their love for words and those who use them creatively. Before we start, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and also follow us on IG, Facebook, and Twitter, all at Word2WZ. That's WORD number 2 WORDZ. So you will never miss a word from us. Now, let's begin the show.
Hello, I'm Tony W2WZ, the Entreprepoet.
And I'm Dara Kalima, the community poet. And this is Word2WZ. And we are back with another episode, the first of 2022. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone.
We are back with another episode of everyone's favorite podcast. We are thanking you for being here yet again with us to join us in this new year and our 8th episode. Woohoo!
Numero ocho.
We made it. We
Yes.
made it into the what? This is the beginning of the third year of this pandemic. Sorry, that was probably on purpose.
Third year pandemic.
So we're here.
Pandemic.
We're healthy, I think. You know, we'll see. Mentally healthy we may not be at this point because I think we're all going a little crazy, but we're here. So we just want to say thank you for sticking with us so far. This is episode 8, and with every episode we love to have a word of the episode. So Tony, what is that word of the episode?
Okay, we're diving into culinary school now for this one, or maybe the Lux life, because this word is called epicurious. I love how it sounds, epicurious. It's an adjective, and it means fond of or adapted to luxury or indulgence in sensual pleasures. Having luxurious taste or habits, especially in eating and drinking. Epicurious.
So does that mean that you would be an Epicurean? Because you definitely,
Epicure.
I was looking it up and said Epicurean is the person. Am I wrong
Oh, it
about
is?
that? Yes.
I thought epicure was the noun. Hold on.
But the
Maybe it
person
is.
description, don't mess with me because I was
Okay,
Googling.
sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
Okay,
Continue
so there
with
we
your
go.
word.
An Epicurean is a connoisseur of the arts of life and the refinements of sensual pleasure. That sounds like you right there as a whole description.
But there's also epicure. That's a person who takes particular pleasure in fine food and drink,
Okay,
which is me as well.
So then they're both you.
So you can be an Epicurean or epicure. See, that's how words work, man. It goes.
So
There's levels to this.
We have even more words to make his brain even bigger. So let's at least say that your meal that I saw on IG this weekend, what is that page? Tidy. Yeah, the one of your couple page had me feeling a little bit epicurious, given the salmon I saw on your plate. Might it be? I was definitely
black
like
sea bass. Black sea bass.
Black sea bass. Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
I'm an epicure, so you can't just confuse the fish, okay?
Sorry. I just know I was like, oh, okay. They went out fancy in their leopard outfits. At least one was in a leopard outfit.
I was in that Jaguar.
So there we go. There was a zebra. All of that was happening. And the food looked very enticing and therefore made me in my little house with my little McDonald's meal a bit epicurious on my own side of this world and my little blanket freezing in the Bronx.
Now, I wasn't always epicurious though, but since meeting my lady, she has turned me into an epicure, as she is an Epicurean. So one day I may earn my yen and become an Epicurean.
I mean, a good woman will do that to you. We'll just change your whole world. We'll change your whole world.
Hold on. Now we about to go to the part B of the definition. Okay. The sensual pleasures. Okay, there's more poetry that could be used in those ways later on. So the next part of this is we.
Oh, so we see you. I was wrong. I was on a round robin. My brain jumped too far already. So we see you. So
we see you.
We see you. If an Epicurean is one about the fine arts of life, there we go. Then that makes us both that, because we feast upon the art of poetry.
Yes.
And what art can be finer than that? I mean, there's some others, but
I've seen one.
I'm not even gonna touch that.
That's another poem.
I'm not even touching that one at all. That's a whole conversation that I'm not part of, and I don't want to be part of.
This is going to be a bad episode. Okay, we already got. That's why I call word to words, because the word of the episode starts us off, and
I think we gotta. Mood. I think we're gonna have to switch off, and I think next episode, just for one episode, you're gonna do the "we see you," and I'm gonna do the word, because your words be getting us in trouble.
I'll be flipping it. I'll be like, "We see you, Don." I got my ways.
So so where were we? So the we see you. A couple of weeks ago, it's probably like 2 months now, I was on if you're in the poetry scene, it's almost like you can't get away or escape from button poetry, because button poetry always got a competition going on. They just closed out their chapbook competition a couple of days ago. I think it was they closed it out a week ago, actually. And they had one before they had the chapbook competition. They had a video competition that was happening. And so I was flipping through just to see who won. I know these people, but I keep track of button poetry, because button poetry, if you don't know, I had to go back and backtrack my statement a moment ago. Button poetry is like the poetry place right now, at least for the younger, hipper poetry place. And I don't know what younger, hipper means. I'm just saying that for the spoken word world, they're like the pinnacle of poetry in some ways. And so they have all these book competitions. They have, if you go online and if you go to YouTube and you're just trying to find poets, you're going to run into, if you just literally Google on YouTube spoken word poets, you're going to run into button poets and their videos. There's no way to not do that. You're not even trying, you're going to run into button poetry. There's a production to the value to it. You'll see it. So I was just flipping through button poetry's Instagram and seeing these videos that were winning. And then, and part of my VC was always to salute people who did something big. And so I'm looking through and I flip and I was like, oh, hold up, let me see that. I think I know that name. And so I went to this person's Instagram and I was like, hey, this is you, right? Congratulations. They were like, me for what? they didn't even know they won.
What?
I kid you not. This person didn't seem to know, or maybe they got the notification before and then they just weren't even thinking about it. But I'm like, no. And I screenshot it and I go, this is you, right? They're like, oh, yeah, that's me. So this person won an award for filmmaking. They took their poem and they did a film for it. And I finally watched the film today, and I heard the poem before. The poem I love because I'm a Bronxite and I love my trains, and even listening to the poem on their podcast made me all of a sudden go, yes, let me go write a poem about taking the trains too, because I feel you, And so I watched the video. The video is crazy. There's a lot of subtlety in the video, but there's two things that are done in the video that are so subtle that you don't really get how insane they are. One, at the very end of the video, there's a whole thing about being arrested by police, and all the person does is put their arms behind themselves while they're sitting there. And it's just a subtle gesture, but it's such a like, wow, if you pay attention. And like, that's such an image to be left on. But what no one really pays attention to or gets how insane this video is, dude is sitting on the train platform with his legs dangling off the platform. Like his legs are just dangling off the train platform. And he's on 125th Street, which is like a busy train line. And his legs are just dangling. And the video is being clearly recorded from like the opposite train line. So so he's like on the uptown and they're on the downtown. Yeah. And I'm sitting there watching this video like there's only two ways it could have been done, from being on the opposite line, or they had like a what's the thing?
Drone.
A drone doing it. And I'm just sitting there, this dude his legs are dangling off the, like this is a busy train line. I mean, granted, it's not always a train running through, but to have pulled that off, I was like, this video is sick. So anyway, of course he should have won. And so it's part of one of my he's part of a duo of my favorite podcasts right now. One of my favorite podcasts, because there's a couple that I keep watching or listening to. The podcast is The Poetry, and so the Poetry podcast is brought to you by Hattress and Stony Tony, and it was Stony Tony's video for Subway, or the Subway Soul, that or the Soul of the Subway. There's two names for the video, so depending which way you read it, Subway is what it says actually on the award that won this award for filmmaking, because there's a lot of video awards that came out at the same time, but his was for filmmaking for this video. So you need to go check this video. You need to check out the Poetry podcast. You need to listen to Stony Tony. And I mean, I love Hattress because I love Hattress. I'm a fan of Hattress. You can't say nothing to me about Hattress because I'm gonna fight you. Like, I'm a fan of Hattress. But let me tell you, if you listen to Stony Tony, he has a rhythm of his writing. He has a gift with rhyme and assonance and consonants that is so almost like you just feel comfortable hearing his words, but it's what he's doing in his wordplay. And if you don't know the tools he's using, it goes over your head, but you just know you like how it sounds. Like, this man has a skill with how he manipulates words, and the way in which he just plays with them is so skillful. You're just like, man, that's smooth. That's just amazing. So I just wanted to say, I see you, Stony Tony. Congratulations on your award. I know you may not have noticed it, or maybe you knew beforehand, but I'm just like, yo, that was a big deal for Button to notice you. And you from Yonkers, what? Or you at least represent Yonkers right now, but you recorded that in Harlem. And I think you represent the Bronx every now and then, and he's gonna pretend you do, but whatever, because it's all in between. Either way, we see you, Stony Tony. Everybody, check him out. Check him out in the Poetry. Check out Hattress as well while you're there. Make sure you subscribe. He doesn't have enough subscribers on his YouTube page, so go watch that video. Subscribe to it. Subscribe to ours while you're there anyway. But we see you, Stony Tony. Good job. Congratulations. Big up.
Congratulations.
Have you seen the video?
I haven't seen. I saw his newest video.
I didn't see the new video. I saw
on the basketball goal.
Yeah, I saw the clip of it on Instagram. I'm like, the videos are just amazing. Like, who is recording his stuff?
I'm like, who is doing these? I'm like, wow, this is like, there must be like 5 people, one holding the light.
The cinematography.
Like, who is paying for this production? This is like
the cinematography on his team to make his stuff look the way it does. It's like he deserved that award.
Yeah.
I mean, his writing's amazing.
Go watch that.
The images are great. I only saw the Instagram version of the video, so I know that it's also on his YouTube. I didn't get to see it yet, but listen to his writing for sure. Support him, but also like go watch those videos, because them videos are epic. So I did start watching the Playground, and I was like, yeah. And like he said this line in the Playground poem about like you would sit there and decide which cars were yours, and that would let you know what your net worth was. And I had to laugh because, so where I grew up in the River Park Towers, which is in like not that far from me where my grandparents lived, it's on the river. It's on the Harlem River. And so on the Harlem River, you would get all the boats that would go up and down the river, including the Circle Line. And so my brother and I would sit out the window and we would choose which boats were ours. And none of us wanted the Circle Line, but we would choose which boats were ours. And so when he said that about the cars, I was like, man, we did that with the boats too.
But y'all did it with boats.
So I was like, I was resonating with that when I was like, yes, we did it with the boats, but that boat was mine. No, not the Circle Line. You get the Circle Line. I don't want the Circle Line, but we took the boats.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we see you, and thank you for representing the hood, representing home. I think that's what I like about his writing, is like you can feel home when you hear his stuff.
So. Yeah. If you're from New York, like you can resonate with everything that he talks about. I'm not from New York, but I've been here a while, so I'm a little bit cultured. So just a little bit, but enough to recognize where, I can recognize the boroughs now. So
good job. Congratulations.
Except for Staten Island, I haven't been there.
Nobody needs to recognize it. Don't worry about it.
That was a setup, just so that I can hear you say it. See, I know enough about the boroughs to set that up. So we're going to go to our poems now, our poetry. And it is me first. And are you ready?
Never ready for your work.
Never ready. Okay. Master me. Put your brush on me. Let it slide across my bare canvas. Let the paint drip within my crevices, covering up all of my blemishes. Paint me with your crimson, your yellow, your blue. Provide all hues across every inch of my surface. Guide your strokes carefully on my epidermis. Lecture me with your palette. Distribute necessary details along my phallus and speckle your chromatic liquids all over my brown complexion, covering my erection with your acrylic sheen and glisten. Master me into your masterpiece. Never cease to work on me. Carve me into your David. Allow me to be your Sistine Chapel, your Mona Lisa, your Last Supper. Let me serve you like Las Meninas, so we can give birth to Venus. As we indulge in the garden of earthly delights under these Van Gogh starry nights, your studio is our dark Rembrandt-like sheets. As time melts into itself, as we watch, we reach out to touch God's hand. Then our melanin mixes, forming a new color that is more vibrant than any other spectrum that we have critiqued. We create a unique and new hue, one that is suffused with lustrous expression of the orgasmic and the cosmic colliding inside of a body of work. We create Adam amongst us. You are my artist, and you depict the most masterful composition as you make love to me, your canvas.
You say you see a sensuality in me. Understand I am merely a reflection, or more so an expression of the desire you inspire. I am but a fire you sparked and ignited and set ablaze. I am blazing with a wanton want of you. You feel it too. I know you do. So think of me as your mirror, and this moment as us indulging in a theatrical exercise. I know you know the rules to this game, are familiar with how this goes. Remember, it's like a sensually slow form of follow the leader. But in this case, in our case, I'm certain that the magnetic attraction between our bodies will make us move almost in sync. Two forms in beautiful, natural, maybe even carnal harmony. My dear, do take the lead. Guide our moves so I can follow you. The closer you draw to me, the closer I'll draw to you. Until even our exhalations are emanating our most amorous yearnings. And then let us pause to inhale the deliciousness, inhale the delicious scent. I know you smell our pheromones too, don't you? I certainly do. And any sensuality you exude will be returned in kind multiple times. And if done correctly, you will, I will, we will just keep tantrically amplifying the vibration. So let's together get lost in what comes of us as we reflect back to ourselves the energy radiating in between.
Snap, 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 snap. Hopefully that picked up. Snap, 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 snap. When I try to talk low and sensual, it doesn't pick up my voice.
So yeah, that's them two poems.
Hey, so words came into words. So,
I have not heard that. Is that new?
What, the poem that I did? No,
Mhm.
It was back from 2019, maybe.
Wow, you've been
2000.
holding out on me. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, that was in my Google note that went over to Evernote.
See?
I started off with Google Note. Well, this is actually a behind the scenes. This was before we started recording.
We had a whole fight about where to save your documents and write them. And so that's what
You
he's
never
talking
know.
about. Yeah, I lost some document. I lost a document. And so he said, well, I will never say that I lost it because I saved it in this program. And I said, but you will say those that your program became extinct. And so that's what he's referencing. But neither here nor there. Either way, you said you wrote it in 19, probably. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've never heard that piece. So I was very impressed by it. I thoroughly liked it.
Yeah, I love your delivery.
Until I couldn't get that word out.
The delicious is a hard word, you know. Sometimes when you're in the moment, delicious, the tongue flicking just doesn't quite get there, you know.
Can I tell you? So this is just to that point. I read a poem the other day, and I realized I can't say carotid. I could say it right now.
Carotid or
carotid. Yeah, carotid artery.
Yeah.
So I cannot read carotid.
You can't recreate carotid. You can't recommend carotid. What?
I couldn't read carotid.
Oh, so, read carotid.
Yeah. So there's a poem that is a mature poem that goes from vampire nibbling on my carotid.
I know that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I got to reading it. And I was reading it as a performance. Mm-hmm. And I got to it and I was like, we're just gonna say my vein. Because I want to say something completely different when I see the word written. I want to say
I'm just gonna stop.
I want to put like a T in a different spot. So I know it's carotid, but I want to say carteroid. I'm just like,
oh my goodness, you're going back.
I could not get the word out of my
Corduroy.
mouth properly at all. I mean, thankfully, it took me a few seconds. I was like, we're just gonna say my vein,
We're gonna
and then I
say
kept on going through the poem.
Oh man, wow.
So
The
delicious and
veins that
carotid are
were,
apparently words that I have problems with in the
yeah.
moment.
Try to say delicious, carotid 5 times
Delicious,
fast.
carotid, delicious. The
Delicious.
second round, I got to
Delicious,
delicious.
delicious, 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 delicious.
Delicious,
Carotid,
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 delicious.
carotid.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, those are
Just
gonna
say
be
the
those words that
leave out the
fail.
vowels.
They're just hard. Carotid. And like the carotid, I mean, because the whole idea is the carotid artery is the one in your neck.
Yeah.
And so I was like, vampire nibbling your carotid. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's like such a great line. But like cannot get it out. I was like, it doesn't work. It's not a sensual line if you cannot get the word out your mouth. Lesson, you got to be able to say the word. And I had it written phonetically, and I got to it, and I still could not say it.
Yeah, carotid is a nice sensual word though when said
If
properly.
you can say it right.
I mean, you can stutter when you say it to add.
But that's if you're at that point, right? That's if you're at that point in the poem. That's not where it was.
Yeah.
It was at the beginning of the poem. So it's like we're still at the foreplay part of the poem, and I'm just like
yeah,
the vein, and it's not even a vein; it's an artery. So it's like I still couldn't even get to the right concept. I just couldn't do it.
They knew what you were talking. They knew what you were talking.
I mean, the performance otherwise was freaking fantabulous. And I should send it. I'll send you the recording because it was on Clubhouse, and unfortunately they recorded it, so it lives. But it was so like, it's so funny that like I'm doing this really mature poem and I'm all in my voice and I'm all in this moment. I get to we're just gonna say vein, and then I can say what?
Yeah.
Breaking the mood and then getting back in the mood. So yeah, words of wisdom.
No,
we're not there yet. But I know, but I'm gonna give you a word of wisdom before we get to that.
Oh my goodness,
stay in the scene.
Okay, go ahead.
Stay in the
word
scene.
of wisdom.
Stay in the scene. Stay in the moment. Keep the
that was the word of wisdom. I thought you were telling me to stay in the scene. Don't go back.
That is the stay in the mood. Just stay in the mood.
Gotcha. So what's inspiring our pen besides carotid arteries and deliciousness and epicuriousness? But as an epicure, you know, while you are looking at dishes, because tasting begins with look, it begins with the sight. So what's inspiring my pen is the ability to observe or observation. So I have been paying attention not only to things outwardly, but also things inwardly. Observation is one of the key things that we have as a tool as writers, and it is where we get our stimulus from, to write. It is also what we use to research. It is also what we use for material source. So observation is something that should be a skill, a tool that you try to hone in on. And that's what a lot of workshops, they take you out of the normal way that you perceive things and try to place you into these kind of focused areas so that you can observe this, just like an artist observing a still life and making sure that they look at this thing that's still just for them, and they're looking at the curves and the shading and the colors. So try to observe as you are going throughout life, just like me. And that's
Can
what's
I tell
inspiring.
you, this is how you know I'm a poet, because you said they make you do still life, and I was like, to make sure that it's still life. That's really what
Observe the still life to make sure that there's still life.
literally started. I was like, okay.
Oh,
So what's inspiring my pen? There's a lot of pain. So there's a lot of pain, not physical pain. Well, there is physical pain, but that's not inspiring my pen right now. So your girl's still going through it. This is my season of grief. There's a 2-month period of time where I sort of fall into like a grief history because it's just anniversaries. But there's new things on the horizon that have tapped into passion. So such as the poem you just heard, it was actually new. Why are you making faces? Stop making faces.
I'm not making faces.
You making faces. Stop doing that.
Don't look at the YouTube version of this, okay? Just know that I'm not making faces.
Stop looking like that. So yeah. So
P.
Huh?
You use the P word.
Yeah, I do use passion. I mean, it's passion for life. You gonna go with that? Do you buy that? You buy that?
Okay. I bought it and sold it back to you. But cheaper than I bought it from. It was not a bargain at all. You charged me whole price, retail price for that. And I gave it right back to you.
So yeah, I mean, there's some it's weird because isn't cuffing season over, or is it still part of cuffing season?
This is cuffing season.
This is cuffing season.
Snow outside. We got it's cold.
I don't know. See, I don't ever know when cuffing season is over because I feel like cuffing season starts once the holidays start because it's starting to get cold. I mean, yeah, we still cold, but it seems like
you gotta have people to go to the holiday parties.
Exactly, but I feel like right now, if you weren't cuffed up before you got to this point, you just missed it, right? Like I feel like you missed the boat, and then you got to worry about it when.
Well, not in these times.
Not in these times.
Back in the days, yes, because
Well, I'm a little old, so I don't know all the rules. I don't know the rules.
No. I'm talking about back in the day before COVID.
Yeah, in the time before. That's what I like to call it. In the time before. So
now everybody's in cuffing season. You want to come over? I'm tired of being at home.
I mean, I seriously got a text message from somebody yesterday talking about, hey, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. And they were like, so what's your schedule like this week? I'm sorry, what now? I
jumped to that. Okay.
Immediately like, oh, I was just trying to see if we could hang out. And it's somebody I've never met up before, but I met them in the time of COVID in terms of like texting. But it's always been like just to hang out. It's never been like deep anything like that. But at first I was like, oh, pandemic. And then I was like, well, I'm too busy. I'm not trying to be with it, hang out with nobody in a pandemic. What? Huh? We didn't have vaccinations when this first conversation happened. And then finally I was like, oh yeah, I'm free. My schedule's cleared up. There's nothing. I'm willing. I'm vaccinated, ready to go out. Crickets, no response. And then they just showed up yesterday. It was like, hey, what's good? And I was like, oh, I wish you had hit me up weeks ago because situations are different right now. But besides situations being different right now, I'm also about to travel. And to travel, I actually have to be tested to travel. Yeah. So even though I'm going back into the office starting next week, I'm not trying to be up in everybody's social spaces. I want to limit my socializations.
Messing up my trip.
I was like, I am not trying to not be on this trip. So I will be masked as much as I need to be around people. And I'm not trying to just be like extra hanging out. I will be out for work. I'll be out to get my hair done. I'll be out for the doctor. And I'll be home. Like even anybody of interest is like, I will see you in March when I've made it through my 2-week window of minimal socialization, and then I made my trip, and then I'm back. But the whole like out of the woodwork stuff that's been happening in the last little bit of time has been very fascinating. I'm just gonna put it like that. It's been very fascinating.
Good. I always say that she has one in the bag at all particular points in time. So her bag is a little bit fuller than normal now.
I
It's
have
like 5 in the
never,
back now, 4 in
I
the
have
back now.
never agreed to that statement. I'm
Never
also the
agreed.
person, I'm also the person who was like in tears because I could not find somebody to go to the circus with me for
What?
New Year's Eve. So as much as he says that statement, he also is
That
the
was
person
that was the driest.
who found a friend to go to New Year's Eve with me. And
That was the
we had a
driest
wonderful time
time.
together.
Driest time I have ever seen her in this whole time period.
We're not gonna
That
do this
was
anymore.
a week of her
We're not gonna
order
do
was
this
just
anymore.
delayed. That was all that was.
We're not
Her
gonna do this
order just was
anymore.
back order.
As another podcaster noticed when I was on the interview that I keep my love life very private. I'm gonna keep it that way. But that
Yeah,
all
no,
said,
bags was not about love life. It was a metaphor. We're speaking poetry here. There was a metaphor for feelings. So she always has one feeling in the bag, and crying was that one in that particular one. But her normal one is laughter. She has a laughter that will fill up a place, fill up a phone, fill up a Zoom, whatever you have, fills up all of that. Um,
so
so as I
pain,
digress,
passion, and then deadlines, because I had a conversation this week with some people on the Poetics U team about some stuff I'm trying to do. And it was like, if I'm going to get a deadline of releasing the next project by May of 2023, I gotta have like stuff like in hand and being edited by my birthday.
hmm
Which means if I'm not satisfied with what I've written, I need to go write some more. So for accountability purposes, I have been telling people, and I had to tell somebody when they tried to call me out for what I said. I don't know if I told you this. I said to somebody that I'm going to start a 30 and 30 as of February. They're like, but there's only 28 days in February. I said, reread that sentence. I said, starting February. I didn't say only in February.
yeah,
I said starting February. So I'm going to start at 30 and 30 as of February 1st. And hopefully that'll give me some more of what I feel like I may be missing to finish this project up so I can start going towards editing, because that'll
okay,
be what I need to do next, is start editing and get or on my internal side. So that's for pushing my pen, my pain, my passion, and deadlines, because all of that's feeding the next project.
gotcha. Great.
And what are your
Um,
words of wisdom, Tony?
my words of wisdom. You can't say you don't know. What do I mean by this? Basically, there is so much information now in this world that's accessible to you that you can't say that you don't know. And this is for you to go to never say, I don't know. Go Google it. You don't know what a word is? Google it. Don't let a word go by and you just, oh, whatever that word is, and then you just keep reading. No, go Google it so that you can never say, I don't know. You can read the definition. You can even find some synonyms for it. There's a lot of information out here. So never let something go unknown if you can go search for it. So make sure that you're taking advantage of the times that we live in right now, because as you grow your knowledge base, you then also grow the sources for your poetry, your writing. You also grow the vocabulary for this writing. You also grow the network of topics that can then be blended, used in metaphors. So it's all to help you out as a writer and as a person. Um, so you can't say that you don't know, because there is enough information and you can find it within seconds. So
Just
while
make
you say you don't know, in that you don't know that time period, you could have actually Googled it and you would have known by the end.
just make sure you get good information when you look it up.
That's the second tier.
because there's a lot of bad information out there too.
Compare and contrast. Yes,
There
please
you
do. And if you haven't taken a college course or whatever, you know you always have more than one source for what you're looking for, because some people have A, some people have B opinion, some people have C, some people have a blend of both. So you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence and you're researching as well, because realistically, you're like, well, how's that going to help me become a better writer? But if you're getting commissioned to write on a topic that you may not be as familiar with, but because of your style of writing, because of your delivery, and all of these things, people are going to want you to use that voice behind their brand. And if you don't know about it, then you got to do research. You got to look up what the key facts is, the mission statement, or whatever you have to do. So just get in the habit of doing that. Plant the seeds.
go. Very true. So let's talk about it. Can I go first?
Yeah, because I just went.
So I want to talk about the fact that everybody's dying right now. Now, I don't want to be, this is not to be macabre. This is not to be depressing, but my goodness, the year ended with our dear friend, the love of many people's lives, the #1 Golden Girl, the sassiest, sexiest person on Mary Tyler Moore show. She was all over the place. She was a grandmother on the last show that she was on, right?
Hold on. Are you talking about the same?
Yeah, Betty White.
Okay.
What was that last show she was on?
Well, you said sexiest. I was like, hold up, maybe
No,
we're not.
did you not watch? Did you not watch? Did you not watch the Mary Tyler Moore show?
No.
Okay, so
I don't watch shows really.
Okay, so here's the thing: when Betty White came on Golden Girls, right? Mm-hmm. She was actually auditioning for Blanche Devereaux because
you just asked me if I saw one show and then entered another show that I do not watch.
Never watched? No, you never watched Golden Girls?
No, I did not watch the Golden Girls.
Okay,
sorry, no, that would have been as a male growing up in that time. That would have been a girl flick. Or a girl show. That wouldn't have been.
There's no
anything I would have sat down to
acknowledge
watch.
that. We're not even acknowledging that statement, and we're gonna pretend like you never said it. So
what?
Anyway, we're not gonna acknowledge that statement.
I said when I was growing up.
No, I get that, but that was
culture.
It was not the culture. It was not. No, that's not the case.
What?
We're gonna ignore that statement.
Did you watch it with your brother?
Yes.
And your dad?
My dad was never home.
Okay.
My dad was on the train line. He wasn't home watching anything. And don't make me talk about where my dad was when.
Yes, don't do that. Stop it.
Exactly.
I didn't want to go that.
We're not gonna do that. The point being that. So here's the thing: Golden Girls. On the Golden Girls, where a lot of people of like my age group and younger really know her from, right? She is the ditzy character. She's the ditzy blonde character. That is not the character that she actually originally auditioned for the Golden Girls. She auditioned for Blanche Devereaux. Blanche Devereaux is the seductive person. She's actually, so in the house, it's actually Blanche Devereaux's house that they were all living in. Okay. So hold on. Let's just. I'm explaining this real quick. No, I'm explaining it. No, because you didn't believe the sexy statement. Blanche Devereaux is the sexy one of the house in Golden Girls, right? So I'm saying that because if you watch Mary Tyler Moore's show, that's actually the character that she was playing. She was playing this like fake nice, very sexually driven character on the Mary Tyler Moore show. Okay. So when they were coming to Golden Girls, that was originally the role she was auditioning for, and then they switched it out so that she ran for Rose Nyland, and then Rue McClanahan ran for the other one. So none of that, that's why I described her that way, because that's, if you didn't watch both shows, you wouldn't have necessarily known that she played both types. Anyway, I watched both shows because I loved both shows. And I was trying to figure out what the last show she did was. It was a family show on like, Hot in Cleveland. There we go. Where she was like a grandmother role. So anyway, my point is that she played many types in her time of career. Her career extended like 60 decades. 60 decades would be way long. But so we lost her at the end of the year. And then right in the beginning of the year, then we lose Sidney Poitier. And like, we're just like, everyone's dropping like flies. Yeah. And I realized, you know, what dawned on me when Sidney Poitier died was like, are we listening to our elders? Are we learning from them? Are we like paying attention to what they're offering us? Because I never met him, but when I wrote originally like this, I wrote like on my Facebook page, I wrote a tribute to him that I said whatever, just like I listed like a couple of the movies he was in, and I like made it one, you know how poets do, so we make a sentence out of like all the things that we have put together. So I did that for him, and then later on in the comments I wrote this tribute to him that was more personal, because my life was directly impacted by him, even though I never actually interacted with him. The first black theater house I worked for, it was one of the places he was funding.
Oh, wow.
So he and his family's foundation, in addition to Ruby Dee and Elsie Davis, were funders of the Hadley Players. And that was the company that I was working for like several years when I first started doing theater. Wow. So I started theater when I graduated college. I did a show up in Hudson, New York with a friend from college. I came here, I did one show just as a one-off show. And then I ended up in this house doing a tech for multiple shows with them for several years. And that was the Hadley Players. And the person who ran that theater was a Broadway star herself. But she also, like, there's a documentary called Scandalize My Name. And I didn't know it until I was well removed from the theater. I had stopped working with them in 2005 when my sister passed away, because it was just stuff that happened. And it was just time to separate from them. But I was like, in 2007, I had my gallbladder removed. So I'm like high, sleeping on the couch, TV's always on. And I see this documentary and I'm like, Miss G. And so Miss G is on a documentary with Harry Belafonte and like Sidney Poitier, I think. And they're talking about being blacklisted during McCarthyism. And so the woman who ran the theater is on this documentary with these other big names about being blacklisted as being black people who are blacklisted. And I could all of a sudden realize who Miss G was. She's the first person who did the tech. She's the first black woman the first woman to get her taxi license in New York. She's the first woman in New York to get her motorcycle license. And all this stuff. And again, she's friends with Poitier.
The first black woman. No, the first woman. Okay.
So she is doing she did all these things historically, and her theater is being funded by her theater friends, Sidney Poitier and Ruby Dee and Elsie Davis. So Sidney Poitier never came to our opening galas, but but Ruby Dee and Elsie Davis did. So like, he's just sending money to the shows, but he's directly impacting this person who's fresh out of college, trying to do a theater thing, trying to have a theater career. So it's like, and then I'm also looking at Miss G differently. So no one's thinking about who Miss G is. We just hearing her walk her down the hallway, and we're like, oh my gosh, Miss G is coming, you know. But like, are we listening to our elders while they're still here? Think about what this woman lived through that I didn't get to learn from her while I was working for her. You know, like, and think about all these people who are leaving now, who had these experiences that we're losing, that we're not paying attention to because we know it all. We don't know anything, and so much hasn't really changed. So are we listening to our elders? Are we like, they're leaving in wholesale? It's time. It's not like,
I don't know if are they part of the baby boomers?
They may be the baby boomers. They probably are boomers, but they may not be. They may be. Some of the baby boomers are going.
Some are. I know
some are the silent. No, it's not the silent. The silent generation is. The silent generation is right before the. Who's before the silent generation? Is the silent generation then it's the silent generation is somewhere else, and then it's the baby boomers. I can't think of who gave birth to who's right between the two. It's the silent generation, the greatest generation. No, the silent generation. Oh, so it's the greatest generation, then the silent generation. So they're probably the silent generation.
Okay.
So they're probably the silent generation that are the ones that are starting to leave right now. So they're the 28s to 47 to 45s.
Okay.
So they're the ones getting ready to check out. And are we listening to them?
Mm-hmm.
They've been here for a while. They're getting there. Like, there's not a lot of people we still have. I mean, just think about it. 3 years ago, Ed Esner said to Betty White, "We're the last two from the Mary Tyler Moore Show."
Yeah. Yeah, and she was getting ready to do her 100th
She missed
birthday.
it
I was
by
like, man,
18 days.
18 days. And she invited so many. I was like, oh man.
But we still have Marla Gibbs, and we still have some of these people who are still getting up there, right? But we lost Cicely Tyson already. Like, so there's some that are still here who have been through it, that we should just be like treasuring, honoring, listening to, learning from, asking, all of that. Are we listening to them? So, like, I just wanted to talk about that. I wanted to challenge whoever's listening, whoever's just older than you, even if it's like a few years, even if it's just like a generation above you, like, what have they seen? Because bell bottoms came back. Afros come back several times every couple of years. These things come back. Things have not necessarily gone away. What can we learn from these people? What can we glean from them? What knowledge is there, or what legacy should we be carrying for them?
Or even just the acknowledgement of what we like, all of those things that you just said. What have we already learned? Because sometimes it's there. Like, if you don't acknowledge it, then you don't really recognize it, or you don't glorify or honor it. So, like, what have we learned?
What do we carry?
Cicely Tyson. What did we learn from her?
And what did we just say? Like, what can we say? Like, I can tell you, my godfather, which is my granduncle, was born and died in the sharecropper house that my great grandmother had all her children in. So that means he was born and raised, died in the house that my grandmother was born in. She wasn't raised there. That's a whole nother story, right? But like, that house meant something. That house is now gone. It doesn't belong to us anymore after my uncle passed away. But like, to know that was a piece of history that stayed with us for so long. Like, to know that was like, to know that our family was on sharecropper land, like, until recently. So that's not like an old history. That was very recent that we had that land, that someone in my family had that land. What does that mean to you when we think of history being 5 million years ago? Well, it wasn't 5 million years ago. That man died in 2020. So what does that mean now? Like, all of that, so I want people to think about, just like, as we keep losing these people who have done such amazing things, who are you giving your flowers to? Who are you spending your time with? Because that's the most valuable treasure, your time. It's the one thing you can never get back. Who are you giving it to? And are you acknowledging what they've done, what they've been, what they've contributed, what they've experienced, and that in the end, that they've tried their best?
Yeah.
And then what can you learn from their struggles so that you carry on with yours?
I think it's a very timely conversation because of the COVID and who are the most at risk, and who is the majority of the population that succumbed to this virus, and they're like, I was talking with my daughter about, like, calling her grandmother, or my mom wants to see them more and all that. So they're down in Florida, and I'm like, call your grandma sometimes. Like, what? I don't have anything to talk to. I'm like, yo, that's your grandmother. Like, you don't understand. And you don't understand that before you were cognitive and could think that there's nothing to talk about, like, she was there giving you things to play with. She was there at the beginning, and I was always brought up with that respect for elders and looking to elders for guidance, not rejecting them because we're in a new day and age and they don't understand. But I was always taught there's nothing new under the sun, and the same technology doesn't change anything. Like, it doesn't change anything about life. You still have feelings. You still navigate through these things.
And if you listen to your elders' music, you find out that all your music is old anyway.
I mean, yeah, all they do is sample it. Like, it's crazy if you look at, because of the technology, they're able to slow it down, they're able to cut it up, they're able to make a higher pitch. But most of these songs that they're actually doing, they're taking from the older songs and just manipulating it to make it sound more modern, add a little beat. So the same way that we can go in and take music and manipulate it to fit our times, that's the same thing that you should do with the knowledge. You Okay, they have their little say. I love, like, talking to older people. They have their little sayings and everything. It is like sometimes their sayings could just hit, and it's like, gosh, this is how you actually got through.
My favorite from my teacher, and I mean, I don't say it ever, but it always comes to my mind. What's that got to do with the price of tea in China? And I'm just like, seriously though, what's that got to do with it? What does it got to do with the price of tea in China? Why are we
Yeah.
here? Why are we talking about this?
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of one right now, but I can't. Nothing's coming to mind. But they just had a certain way, and I think we think that we're better because we have all these things, but really we're losing the quality of life, you know, and that's why you get the other stuff, like what we just saw with Regina King's son. Like, you would think that, oh, you got all of this stuff and that you are happier than they were back in the day. Yo, they were happy just going to work, coming home to a family, you know, and living around those moments. They didn't have the phone to distract or pull away the kids eh, at the dinner table. Like, you sat down at the dinner table and you talked amongst each other, if you had that. But there were certain things that were a part of that life, that we think that now is just old and played out, or it's not valuable. But there was, like, I had that when before the divorce or whatever. Like, our we sat down and we talked about our day. No, there was no phones involved because they were too young or whatever, but they talked about the day, and that right there was
The family
structure
table.
of the household. You know,
Mhm.
they didn't have to talk to friends about what was going on. They had the table, to talk to friends. And so those things, yeah, I think, and I always tell my daughters, to you you know your grandma's gonna spoil you. First of all, you already know that. So, like, the least you could do is call her. The least you could do is make sure that you're talking to her. She wants to know what you're doing. What are you doing in school? What kind of achievements are you getting? She wants to know because she's responsible for you actually being in this world. She's responsible for you being here. So it's like, why, like, take away what you can from your elders, is like what you said.
Mhm.
What is being passed down?
Yeah, it's so fascinating. I mean, kids generally, like, we didn't necessarily appreciate our elders when we were kids either, to an extent, but we didn't have the same level of distraction to ignore them. Like, some of my fondest memories, and I write a lot of, I don't write a lot of poems, but several of my poems these days are about like being in my grandparents' house. Like, one of my poems are about love, is about sitting on the couch with my grandparents watching movies, you know? Like, and we just don't have those, like, we're so busy, we're not present. And I think that's the one, if there's nothing else, I was talking to a friend this week about what I've gotten from being part of this Buddhist writing community that I'm part of. And I was like, I'm not Buddhist. I'm not converting to that. And it's not a conversion thing particularly, right? But like, what I've gotten from it is like being present in this moment. Like, here, I'm in a conversation with you. I'm not in my phone. I'm not in any other conversation. I'm not chatting on something else. I mean, granted, we're recording something, right? But like, I'm not doing administrative work while I'm talking to you. I am here with you. That's something that's an art that we've lost. And that's and in doing that and in losing that and not passing that on to our next group, they lose the opportunity to appreciate who these elders are and what they have to offer, right? Like, yeah, we ran away from Miss G because Miss G came and you heard her walker coming down the hallway. You know, she was coming with an attitude and she was coming with work for us, and she's going to tell us that we had the seats arranged wrong. And it was always, young lady, what about such and such? She had never had a time to learn any of our names or any of that. Miss G was not particularly the friendliest person on the planet. I'm gonna put it that way. But we still respected Miss G. Miss G ran a theater. We weren't never going to not respect Miss G, right? But also Miss G was Miss G. Like, there's a reason why she was on a documentary for having been part of that time period, because she was part of that. There's a reason. I mean, who else was getting blacklisted back then? We don't even talk about Black people getting blacklisted. When we talk about McCarthyism, we don't talk about us. Like, when we talk about when we talk about history, especially since it's going to be playing during Black History Month, right? When we talk about Black history, we don't even talk about where we were part of some of these big parts of history. If we talk about eugenics in the United States, we don't talk about where Black people were in eugenics. We talk about the rural white folks who were deemed unworthy of being able to reproduce. We don't talk about the things that were happening to Black folks during that time, so like, to have these Black folks talk about McCarthyism and the red phone that was in the drawer that was there for them to be blacklisted simultaneously during McCarthyism, that's crazy. They would go to interviews and they pull out a different phone. What? And so, like, hearing that from their mouths, it's like, we should be learning this. This is part of our history. These people had these experiences that matter. And I hope that one day my nieces or my mentees or whoever finds these podcasts long after we're gone to be like, yo, these people had experiences too. Because the people I done met seem crazy to other people,
Yeah.
Anyway, I know you had something else on your mind that you wanted to talk about, Tony.
Oh, I don't even.
It was about support or something.
Yeah. We can scratch that.
Okay.
I think that's.
Just know I support you, Tony.
We'll talk about that next week. What is support? What is next month? Yeah.
So everyone, sit with that one. Chew that over. We'll come back to that. What is support, and what does support look like for you? Let's think about that one. Maybe we'll engage with that on our social media. We'll see about that. That's a good question. Maybe actually, Tony and I were talking about taking this to our IG. So maybe we can talk about that on IG.
Oh yeah.
So follow us and see what happens. Maybe we'll jump onto our IG wall and have a discussion around what is support and what does support look like and how do you do it? I think we need to do that. So
there we go.
Maybe that's the topic. There we go.
Net will be provided.
Always. What did I say? So announcements. Do you have any? Well, I know you got a whole bunch of
You
announcements.
have an announcement.
I do, and it's I have to go find it for a second, but I will find it in 2 seconds. So February 26th at 8 p.m. I am featuring with Poets with a Purpose. It's their Black History Month event. It's an open mic and it's a workshop, and we are discussing what will be your legacy. It is hosted by Noel Figueroa. He's a poet, author, and a blogger, and I am a poet and author. So we will be discussing such things. It'll be on Zoom. And you can make a donation of, it's a suggested donation of $5. You can pay that on PayPal. Was that Cash App and Zelle? Is it Zelle or Zelle? I don't even know how to say it.
Zelle.
Zelle. Okay. So it's Poets with a Purpose. You can find that information on my page, and maybe we'll put a link somewhere so that you can find it as well. But yeah, so check us out. It's open mic, so you should register. I know people started registering already, so it should be a good time. He always does these great events. I think you were interviewed by him too, right?
Yes.
So you've both been interviewed by him. I was his inaugural one, and then Tony came in a couple of weeks later. And so he's been doing a lot of interviews and podcasts on his page. But this open mic should be amazing as we talk about Black History Month and what will be your legacy. And I think that ties in greatly to the topics in which we had ahead. Otherwise, I'm not doing much else. I'm just dipping my toe back into performing. So if you do need me to perform, I'm only doing it virtually for a moment, but find me.
Yeah.
What you got going on?
So as always, a lot. But January 27th kicks off our BYOBB event. It's a book club series where each week, it's not every week, but each week that we have it, we have a new author that will be coming, and kind of like a book club where the author leads, though. So we call it Bring Your Own Books and Bottles because we have a sponsor. It's a blue wine. I have it here. For those that are watching the YouTube, it is all naturally blue. And if you want to get a bottle of that,
it's called a Morgenève.
Morgenève, and you can purchase it with 20% off with the code II Blue at checkout. So you want to be fancy, showing up to the event, not a Zoom event, but a real event. If you go to them, you can have yourself a bottle of blue wine coming and showing up.
But if you show up with it at an event virtually too, as long as you hold your glass up, people would like to ooh and ah because you have this amazing blue thing happening on your screen. So it still looks amazing.
Where the blue Kool-Aid at?
I mean, because honestly, the reason why he has it as a sponsor is because I showed up to an event with it. And so it still looks amazing on your screen. Especially if you're not wearing blue and you have this blue glass, people are like, what's that? And you just sit there and be like, oh, it's the best wine. It's delicious. Yeah. I'm biased.
So please do go and get that, as well as the book for the night. So there's I think it's like 12 or 14 people, different books to choose from. So the schedule is at II Publishing. If you can find them on IG, as well as you can just go to tonyinc.com. Also simple. We have a service that we offered, consulting service, where we will help you. If you are trying to publish your book, we will help you with some of the things that you need help with so that you can get your book out into the world. So anywhere from one thing like editorial services or the cover or
the interior, the anything. If you wrote the book and you don't know what to do next, essentially, if you don't know what the next step is and you have the book and you need it to look prettier, you need to put the pieces together. You have the pieces. You may have the artwork. You may have the interior, but you don't have all of the rest of that, or you just don't know. You don't have the energy. You don't got the time. So you have all the pieces and you ain't got the time. Whatever it is, we are here to help bridge the gap for you, whether it's putting the pieces together, whether it's helping you get the piece that you don't have. It's all of that. So like, again, I don't know if I said it before, but when it came to my book, my last book, Still Laughing, I had the artwork for the cover. I had the interior. I had the editor, I had all of that. What I did not have, or I had the skills to make the interior after I had the editor and I had the artwork. And Tony went, so where's the title of the book going? I don't know. I'll figure it out later. And so what I did not have was a real cover design. I just had the artwork. And so I had the graphic image. And so I said, hey, can you help me put this together? And he goes, yes, that's simple. And then today I have an amazing book cover that could only be done by the beautiful artwork of Simple. So join Simple. If there's something missing, we got the piece that you're missing and can put it together for you.
Right. And Dara is not only the customer, client, our first client, but she is also now the I don't even know what to call. What are you? She's over that department. She's the manager of that department at 2. You don't want that title, manager?
I didn't say anything. So essentially, he saw my face, but that wasn't what he read my face incorrectly. So the point, because if you never watch the videos on YouTube, what you will find out really quickly is, for whatever reasons, and I can go into a whole psychological thing on a whole nother episode, or in a therapy session, where I probably have to pay you to explain it, but I do a downward smile. So I smile, I laugh a lot, I smile, but then I have this other thing that is like a smile, but I actually force the sides down. It is a thing I've done my entire life. It's actually one of the things one of my exes loved most about me, because he was like, oh, I love that frown thing you do. And I'm like, I don't even do it consciously. It is a thing that I've done my entire life. So that all said, that's what he saw. And so people don't know how to read that expression, because it is not one that it's like I even control necessarily. So he saw that when he said manager, and I'm just helping you understand, those listening and never looking at the show, that's what he was referring to. That all said, no, I don't mind whatever title you give me. I helped push Tony into Simple, and I am happy to help you all get your books together simply. So I'm happy to steward the process into making your book a simple product, because we believe in making it easy for people who if you want the control, but you need the assistance, we're here to make it a simple process for you. That's the whole point of it. That's the reason why it's called Simple, because we're not trying to take control from you. We're just trying to make it easy for you. There's people like me who want to control everything, but don't always have all the skill to do it. I did not have the skill to make my book cover look how it does. 2i Publishing did, but I didn't want to give them the rights. And so we got there. But so Simple is a offshoot from 2i Publishing. And so if you don't want to do it traditionally, we're here to do it. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm saying stuff. That's why he introduced me as such. Talk to me, find me. I will get your book together on behalf of 2i Publishing and Simple.
Well, there you have it. So you have no excuses now in 2022. Now, this next thing is Poetics University. We have a Poets Awards that's coming up. Everyone is invited to come and celebrate last year's achievements, as well as the courses that were offered and those that participated. So please do put that on your calendar. It is February 27th. So make sure you write that down, February 27th, Sunday.
It's going to be full of poetry, and it's going to be amazing, because he's performing and I'm performing and all of our professors are performing, and then some of our students will be performing. So you'll see some of the work that we have put together as part of the poetry school that we help, that brought us together, but also that we help steward other great works of poetry into the world with.
And I just wanted to give a reminder, or I guess an announcement, that episode number 10, we're going to have a special guest. So for the first time ever, it will be Dara and I +1. So we will let you know next week who that will be. We're going to let you, next month at the at the end of the episode, we will have a reveal.
You just may have to show up for the 10th episode to find out. because, you know, I like operating in the world of surprises, and he apparently likes spoiling things. So, you know, we'll find out. Let's make this a cliffhanger.
There we go.
And some point, whether it's episode 9 or episode 10, you will know who will be here for episode 10. Ta-da!
Okay, so now it's the next part, which is called Top of the Dome.
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 Dome. Okay, so we have some words here which are not all there.
I was waiting for you to fill in the rest. I gave you most of them.
I do not actually be paying attention to the bottom while we're going through the list of things. So I'm just making them up.
That wasn't even in the episode. So he likes, oh, I guess because I just said it. So we collect words that have been said during the episode, and I tend to like fill in words early on, and then Tony just likes to surprise us with words at the very end. No, that's insulting. Yeah, I was gonna say he was about to put curse words up in this thing, and we're not cursing.
No, that was boomer.
I know it's insulting.
That's not a curse word.
To boomers, it is. Because
baby boomers is an insult.
Yes, because it is. Because there's baby boomers, which is a group of people who were born in the wake of the war, and there was just the influx of men coming back and going, "Hey, let's have kids," or not saying, "Hey, let's have kids," but it's like, "Hey, honey, I'm home," and then all of a sudden a whole bunch of kids that happen, right? That's the baby boomers. But there's the insult of okay boomer, which is actually not even referencing the baby boomer generation. It is an insult coming from millennials and Zs, referencing an older generation who they think are being insulting to their group. And so it's actually used as an insult to the older group who may not be understanding where they are. So you could even be saying, okay, boomer to an X, not because they're really a boomer, but because they have an older thought process and perspective. So it's really an ageism point, a statement, and not so much about being of that generation.
Okay, so now there's for those that don't know, boomers, don't say that. It's another word that you just throw into.
I mean, because the baby boomer is the group, but okay, boomer is an insult.
I got you. Okay, so we're not using that word anyway. So the words are epicurious, as you know, delicious, carotid, legacy, surprises, and silent.
I'm supposed to go first, aren't I?
Always. And forever.
Each moment with
We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
Just like a dream to me that
somehow came true. Okay, we're done.
And I know
we're done. We're done.
You can't be singing that song and be like, we just done.
You're in your feelings. Come on.
Did you
epicurious, delicious, they rhyme. Carotid, legacy, surprise.
I wanted to talk. But did you see? No, but do you watch Come on Stage? Do you ever watch Come on Stage on like Facebook or Instagram? Come on Stage. You know how they do like they do the social media stuff where like they do the person singing and then you sing with them because they play the music and the person sings or whatever. They have the lyrics and the person sings with them, so it's like y'all are singing together, but y'all are not. So this one guy sings a song, and then Kev on Stage sings the song with them. Kev on Stage likes to butcher songs, right? And so they sing like the Bill Withers song. What's the Bill Withers song that everyone sings? Okay, if we were saying it, if we were doing this song that we just did, what song did we just do? So he would come in. He did. It wasn't the song, but like Kev on Stage came into the song, was like every day. I was like, why did you say 4 words and sounds? I am so mad that you said 4 words and sounds.
Oh, MG.
My whole mood was like, I'd rather you have sang the song just badly, but at least kept the words. Like he just started making sounds. I was like, sir, I know you know the words of them songs. I really said in response to one of his posts, I was like, you said 4 words and then made sounds. I know you were raised better than this.
Oh,
yes, okay, I'm stalling. I always stall.
yes,
I
she always does this.
I think this is everyone's
Why
favorite
you-
part about the top of the dome because I'm
No.
always like stalling.
No,
right?
that's not their favorite part. They're actually like, let's go. They go back to our first episode and say, Dara, please just give us the poem. Just give us the poem.
Darn you. I look at your carotid silently. I just stare. It looks so delicious. It fills inside me a sense of epicuriousness. I am filled with a desire of epicurious. I am becoming epicure. I almost Epicurean as I think of what it would be to taste on your neck, nibbling ever so sweetly, what the legacy of my lingering kisses would be. Would it leave sweet surprises? Would it lead to other surprises? Would it entice sweet surprises for us later? Yeah, I just lost it. But I got all the words in.
Snap, 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 snap.
I was like, I wanted to go further, and I was like, and then we're done.
Shh. Be quiet. Let our ears be filled with silence as I'm silent. But I am lurking and I am working on a strategy to touch you in so many places that my touches become legacy imprinted onto your skin, given to you to feel within and on the outside too. Because I have seen something so delicious that has me epicuriously licking my lips and almost biting your carotid artery, baby. I want to put surprises near your thighs as my tongue slides from knee to inner ingredients in your recipe, because that is the type of food that you are preparing for me. And that's it. Okay, I used all the words.
Next month we will choose better words and somehow be able to give you a longer version of this.
Yes.
But we did get through the words. My poem did not end, and Tony teased us. So I think we both teased.
I didn't end.
We used feathers.
Oh, you're talking about I put ellipse on the end of mine, okay? Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yeah, and I just like fell off a cliff. Because I didn't get it.
Go follow me on IG for the rest.
He's not gonna go finish that poem, but good luck to you.
I want to say thank you to all of you who are listening to Word to Words, the Poets Podcast. We are here to help you, one, expand your vocabulary first. Then we also want to give you entertainment, something that you can also take back with you in your life and use, tools for writers and everyone else. The theme song was brought to you by the skill of Eric Ty, Sky, DJ White. Oh, if you like that little beat that we have at the beginning, just let us know in the comments below. There's no comments on the. Is there comments on is there comments on podcasts?
I mean, I don't know on the podcast places. Not on Google doesn't have comments. It's
okay, all of them don't have comments. So leave it in our email. Go to our Instagram. Leave it in our DMs.
YouTube.
Do whatever you do. I'm listening to it right now in my head right now. I'm bobbing. But as you know, I am one of your hosts, Stony Tony, the Entreprepoet.
And I am Dara Kalima, the community poet.
So reach out to us by submitting your word for the episode. Also, you can give us a let's talk about it topic. We want to hear from you. Or if you want to be inspired by something, please let us know. And also, if you have a poet that is doing the daggone thing, as Dara would say, or they're making moves in this industry, or they have done something in the past, let us know. We want to shed light on those poets to let them know that we see them and to keep on doing the daggone thing.
And if you just need advice and want to hear our words of wisdom, we got some. Let us know.
So also, please go visit our website. You can actually listen to all of our episodes on our website at tonyinc.com/word2words, WORD2WORDZ /. So please go and listen to our podcast. You can also find our contact information on our website. But if you have a pen, you're driving, don't write it down. But if you have a pen, it's two poets, TOPOETS @word2words.com. Okay. So see you next month. Thank you for listening.
We'll speak to you soon.